Social media really is just a brain rot platform at the moment. Everywhere you look, they're just trying to dim down, in my opinion, your critical thinking abilities and keeping you just addicted to their platforms.
Doom scroll addiction machine. And the question is Gen Z cooked? These tools are basically harvesting us. They want their users to spend as much time on the screen so that they can shove as many ads into your face as possible. They're incentivized to keep you on the screen. How do they do that? By giving you what you want to see, and just more of what you want to see, So in order to talk, me and you, we have to pass through these corporations that have their own incentives and have control over everything. Humans are born free and sovereign. And that's what this is. We get our sovereignty back online. We're not just cogs in a machine anymore. You actually own yourself online. We need to be mindful of when we're asking permission online, because one day it might become important.
Primal is unstoppable speech, just like Bitcoin is unstoppable money.
And if information can't flow freely, I don't know if we can go towards the truth.
Welcome back to the show. Today we're joined by Paul, who is head of growth at Primal. It's an amazing social media platform that is anti-social media, and I recommend everyone to go check it out after this podcast if you haven't already. Paul, welcome to the show, man. How are you doing? Tell us a bit about you.
I'm just ready to pick a Gen Z's brain about social media. I mean, it looks like you got a solid brain on you. You got the AirPods in, they might be frying your brain, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in transition mode.
I like how you called Primal already an anti-social media. I kind of like, it's almost like a boring social media because there's no algo, like centralized algo, just like designed just to addict you to the screen and manipulate you. So I kind of like that. I mean, that's pretty much what social media has turned into nowadays, right? Just like this doom scroll addiction machine. And the question is Gen Z cooked? Or what I'm seeing is a bunch of like base Gen Z people like rising up doing these challenges where they're just sitting raw dogging hours. Like, I think they know what's up, and I think it's time to make a move.
I think they're slowly waking up one by one, but not in the masses. Let's dive into what you've just said there, because social media really is just a brain rot platform at the moment. Everywhere you look, they're just trying to dim down, in my opinion, your critical thinking abilities and keeping you just addicted to their platform. So do you want to go into a bit more of what Primal really is and how does it even work not having an algorithm to hook people in?
Yeah, so it's like, let's break it down. The root cause of all this is it's incentives. So you look at the incentives of the big ones like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and even Twitter. They're dependent on the ad model. And how the ad model works is they want their users to spend as much time on the screen so that they can shove as many ads into your face as possible. So they're incentivized to keep you on the screen. How do they do that? By giving you what you want to see and just more of what you want to see. Like, we all know how it is. It's great. It's entertainment. It's mind numbing. It serves a very powerful role. These are really powerful tools, but these tools are basically harvesting us, and they're not going to fix themselves. They're dependent upon these models. So it's time to create a new model. And that's what Primal's doing, that obsoletes these old models. Now, that will take years, and that's really, we're tiny right now, but that's the end goal, is to make a social media platform that's aligned, with incentives aligned to its users. Now, there's some platforms out there that do a better job than others, like Substack is a pretty great platform, but Primal's a little different. So the reason a bunch of Bitcoiners are on Primal is because, and it's built on a protocol. So we know this is a Bitcoin podcast, right? Your audience is familiar with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a open protocol for money, and Primal is built on an open protocol for speech. So with Primal, you have this identity that's yours, and nobody can take that away from you. Just like with Bitcoin, you have this private key that's yours and makes it so nobody can take your money away from you. So it's unstoppable speech, unstoppable social media. That was a lot already. So one more thing, it's like we just have the opportunity with this to start afresh with social media, because we have this really brief history so far of how long these platforms have existed and how we are sharing information. This has not been going on for that long. And we can learn from these platforms and where they've gone wrong and just build a better experience. So It's great. It's just it's time for an evolution. Just like Bitcoin is an evolution of money, what we're building is just an evolution of how we communicate online.
It's so cool. I'll say this probably multiple times throughout the episode, but guys, you've got to go and check what Primal is and start using it. It's an amazing platform and protocol, like Paul said. So let's dive into what you just said. Primal is unstoppable speech, just like Bitcoin is unstoppable money. I want to dive into this a bit more because we're aware, and it's becoming more and more public knowledge for those that haven't been going down the rabbit holes, that YouTube has been blocking people's speech. They were putting out their thoughts to the world during COVID and things like this, and they've come out and said, yeah, we nerfed their reach, or we just simply blocked their accounts. That can't happen on Primal. So do you want to go into a bit more detail around what people can and can't do, but also what the benefits of that for the generation and for society is?
Yeah. So far, the way we've talked to each other is through corporations. So in order to talk, me and you, we have to pass through these corporations that have their own incentives and have control over everything. So they have control about the interface, the UX of the apps, and then they own your identity, and then they own all the content. So with that, makes these social media apps and companies, and then therefore humans, CEOs in charge of them, extremely powerful. They have the power to control the narrative, the power to control speech, the power to influence all of us. And they've become like proxies for the government, really. So it's like the people behind the scenes, they're able to control and like decide what gets through. I mean, we all really woke up to this during COVID as we saw what was disinformation. We actually woke up to it a little bit earlier with Trump getting kicked off of Twitter, which is insane. It's like, look at this flex from this Silicon Valley CEO that has the power to kick off a president from his app. Are you kidding me? Who elected that guy? Why is that even possible? So what Nostr says, and Primal's built on Nostr, is that you own your identity. The users own their identity and content. Anybody can participate in running the rails upon which the content flows. Primal is just a way to view the content. Now, that doesn't even, a little common misconception is that Primal can't ban anybody, but like Primal can, if somebody's posting like illegal stuff, like we can eliminate it from our app, but we still cannot take away that person's ability to post from the Nostr network because we don't have control over their account. So it's kind of revolutionary. It's really obviously needed because I don't think these CEOs want to be in this position. In fact, I know they don't. I just read a book about like the early days of Facebook and listening to Zuck and all these decisions that he had to go through. And he just put off censorship and like put off the information. He's just like, dude, who cares? Like, let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. But because he can stop the flow, just that fact that he has all that power, like it shouldn't be that way. And Nostr obsoletes that. And it obsoletes like it makes CEOs irrelevant again, which is great, and frees the information. So I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does, man. And I think it's so powerful. You see so much disinformation out there. And that's one of my biggest frustrations, I think, with my generation, but also kind of the older generations as well, that they were kind of given misinformation through newspapers and things like this. But social media now is just that on steroids, where they can control absolutely everything, but even more so. And Primal and Nostr allow that disinformation to turn into true information because people aren't getting cancelled and their thoughts are their thoughts and they can put it out, which is absolutely amazing. So
yeah, I'll stop you there real quick. I kind of disagree with that. Like the internet and social media, even as it is, does get way more ideas out there than just like the piece of papers used to do, like newspapers. But we saw and we've learned and we were all scarred from what happened during COVID and what continues to happen today in social media. So yeah, continue.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. Maybe I should have been a bit more specific around that. But on that point, they can spread even faster and they can put out whatever they want in a flash. So
they can be tweaked.
I want to go straight into when you reached out to me saying that you see Primal being a tool that can really help speed up Bitcoin understanding, Bitcoin adoption for Gen Z. So I'm curious to hand the mic over to you and hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, man. So Gen Z, the anxious generation, some of them call it. I know. Have you heard of that book? Y'all grew up with screens. Y'all understand it. And now there's this Bitcoin thing. Bitcoin takes a lot of hours to understand, right? Social media these days is basically intuitive. Now, what happens if you just hop on to a social media app, make a shit post, and the next thing you know, Bitcoin is flying into your account? So I don't even think I mentioned that yet. Within Primal, you have a Bitcoin wallet and you can send and receive Bitcoin as easy as you can with likes. So this is like a very unique new experience for people touching Bitcoin for the first time. Normally, the first touch of Bitcoin is like, oh, you go buy it in exchange, then it sits there and you forget about it, or like you have to put all your information in there, and it's like scary. But this is just like totally playful. You make posts, Bitcoin flows. It's kind of funny. You can attach a message to the money. You'll see like the likes, the highest zap is what it's called when you send a zap to a post. You can add a little message and it'll be viewable for everybody to see. And it's like this fun way to just play with Bitcoin. You could send like little less than a cent at a time if you want to do that. So it's like this completely new experience for social media and for Bitcoin that I think is much less scary than spending 100 hours down the rabbit hole. And I've seen so far, like with Primal, people will end up making their first Bitcoin purchases after, being on the network for a little bit. And that's because there are a lot of Bitcoiners on there. And just because, like, I don't know, it's a cool first touch. One fun story is that Jack Mallers, his second in command, Dylan, his girlfriend, after D King Orange Pillar, Jack Mallers, the CEO of Strike, would talk to her all the time about Bitcoin and tell her all the reasons why you might want to invest in Bitcoin or hold Bitcoin or use Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. And then she gets on Nostr, makes a post, gets zapped, and she's like, then she went on to read the Bitcoin Standard. Leave it at that. Like there's something going on there. And that coupled with a less algorithm social media, or at least with algorithm choice, and Gen Z maybe waking up to the fact that a lot of the platforms don't have their best interests in mind, there could be like this cool synergy waiting to happen. At least that's my hope.
The new path of orange pilling, what you just described, that's awesome.
Yes.
It is so simple, man. It's awesome. And guys, for those that haven't looked, again, I encourage you afterwards to look. But just like on Instagram or X, you can press like. You still can do that on Primal, but you can also press zap. And that process is just as easy. It's just the press of a button. But then you can send support. If you like the post, you can send Satoshis to that person. So the other way to look at it is those that are wanting to monetize their social media, or you're already posting social media, then you can get monetized for your work from other people rather than having to go for these big brand deals to get started. You can monetize on your journey to brand deals, which is awesome. And that's reminded me, Paul, I'll ask you a bit later on about that connection technology that at a minimum, I know you can clone your tweets over to Nostr. I don't know if there's other technologies coming out or if they're already there for, say, Instagram or whatever, to be able to post them to Primal as well. But before we go into that, my question for you that I've really been trying to think about, and I've seen a few people talk about this, is they're Bitcoiners. They love the message that Primal stands for. They want to be on Primal. I know you've got the likes of Jeff Booth who are only on Nostr and Primal and they've left mainstream media. But if we want to be helping the majority of people and getting the message out to these, they're hanging out on mainstream social media. So I guess I'll start with just part one of this question, but how do you see that relationship between wanting to add and contribute to Nostr and Primal, but the majority of people that we want to help not being there?
So, so in terms of like onboarding people to Bitcoin,
I guess so. And just
or just
sharing,
growth in general.
no, not growth at all, like sharing the educational content that we're trying to put out, potentially some stuff that mainstream media might cancel you for, but you want to help the people that aren't awake yet, and those awake people aren't on Nostr and Primal.
So what do you actually do when you have somebody reach out to you about Bitcoin? Do you send them like a list of stuff to listen to? Do you send them a website? What do you do? I'm personally curious because we're thinking of building the absolute tool for this. And because I mean, look, I want Primal to take over Instagram, Twitter, and everything, but we're not going to be there anytime soon. What we could be is the best onboarding ramp for Bitcoin. And that could include like, look, this is what Paul likes to listen to, these books. Here, download Primal. You already have a wallet and you have all my list of things that I want to read, like how I want to orange pill you right there on Primal. Like that could be the ultimate tool, and have a wallet and have some sats right away. I don't know. Those are some of the things that we're thinking about. But my question to you is, what do you actually send people? Where do you send them?
That would be super cool to
Right?
start answering that question. That would be super cool.
Yeah, man. Kind of speaking it into existence right now. It's something we've talked a lot about at the team. We're not working on it yet, and I'm not allowed to talk about a lot of stuff. But this one, I'm completely vibing into existence. So
Yeah. Yeah. Keep it up with that. I'd love to help out if there's any way I can, but we can talk about that later. Yeah. I mean, for me, the biggest learning that I've had is everyone's different. Everyone's desired outcome is different, and everyone's pain points are different. So for me, when someone reaches out, it's not about here, read this. It's trying to find out actually what if they're in pain, because if they're in pain, it's going to be much easier to orange pill them. Or if they're not in pain, what do they want to get out of it? So a lot of the people I speak to, obviously the appeal is number go up technology, which as we both know is a feature, but it's not what Bitcoin is at all. But that gets them in, that gets them interested.
yeah, best marketing tool that we have.
Yeah. So it's a pretty crappy answer to you, because I have a bunch of resources that I'll send to
It
people
depends,
depending
right?
on their answers. But my go-tos that I'd send the most are What's the Problem by Joe Bryan.
Oh,
He's coming
interesting.
on
I
the
don't even
pod
know.
next week.
Okay.
If you've not watched that, I'll send you it. It's amazing. It just focuses on really, really easily to understand way of explaining what fiat is and comparing the two worlds in a cartoon of basically what effect a money printer has on a group of people versus if there's no money printer, and how Bitcoin and fiat compares. It's amazing.
It's a
I'll put the
video or a
link in the
cartoon?
description.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 40-minute video.
Okay. When Primal's better at videos, we're throwing that up there for sure.
Yeah, we'll put that in for sure. And then the other one's the big print. So if someone's genuinely interested and you show them what's the problem and then they read the big print, I don't think
Game
it's
over.
possible to say this Bitcoin thing isn't real or not see the value in what Bitcoin offers. So they're kind of my two main go-to resources. And then when someone has got it, I'll make sure that they've got some Bitcoin first and they're at least looking into self-custody. But then I'll send a video from Jeff Booth that he did with Simply Bitcoin, just for no reason other than to continue the person on the journey to keep asking questions, because I think that's the most important thing, is that people ask questions. And this relates back to Primal and social media. The delivery of content, I think, stops people critically thinking and asking questions. So they don't think, where has this belief come from? They just believe that it's true. And in their subconscious somewhere, they believe that they've come to this conclusion, when actually it's probably been placed in their brain from someone else, whether that's social media, whether that's from family, from school. So I think Jeff Booth's video is amazing to encourage people to keep thinking of, maybe there is a possibility that Bitcoin can literally create a 180 of what we deem as normal, or what the majority deem as normal. What about you? I'm curious to hear what you guys send people in the direction of.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a couple messages unread or unsent right now, like, the normie text, and I was like, oh God, where do I start with this one? Like, be good to have like my own bank of stuff to just send, just the easy card. But for me, like, dude, when Bitcoin works, even when Nostr works, when Primal works, you're not going to know it's Nostr. You're not going to know Bitcoin's Bitcoin. We're still in the phase of having Bitcoin conferences. Like, we don't just have internet conferences anymore. It's just like we talk, Bitcoin is just going to be obviously the better money. So there's some people that need to think a lot about it in order to get off zero. And there's some people that just need to touch it and feel it a little bit. Of course, like, it goes deep and you want to get into self-custody and everything. And you're always standing by as the good Bitcoin friend to teach them when the time is ready. But I think getting off zero is extremely important. And that's why I think that's where Primal will fit in, is just getting them off zero real quick in a fun way. And then if we do make a little package of like, here's the good Bitcoin content that I want to show you that we want to read, and it all lives on Nostr, or it's all in this one pretty place. Boom, that could be this way that we all grow the pie together. But yeah, getting off zero is pretty important in my opinion. And I just spent my entire afternoon going to the farmer's market in Kauai, where I'm at right now, and turning on, because Square just turned on Bitcoin payments for all the vendors, and there's like 4 million plus in the States. And I just went and spent Bitcoin and turned them on at like 4 different vendors. Cause that's another
How
touch
good.
point. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, that wasn't that hard. That's not that scary. Bitcoin is just like going to be number go up technology in the future. It's a good savings account to start. And if a couple of randos want to pay me in Bitcoin, great. If I don't want to deal with volatility, I just convert it to fiat, great. Oh, I want to just save 3% of every transaction that comes in fiat, great. Like what Square just rolled out was inevitable because the guy who built it, Jack Dorsey, is a big Bitcoiner. And let's hope the timing's right. And it's up to us to go, be the change and do the work. That kind of just went
Yeah,
random, but
yeah, no, it's powerful, man, and it's another step in the right direction for sure. You've summed it up perfectly, but when we're in a world where people don't even know they're using Nostr or Bitcoin, that's when the mass adoption is there. But we're still so early, which is super exciting in my opinion, especially for Gen Z when they start understanding it, because they'll participate in number go up as well as all the other benefits, which in my opinion are more important than number go up. So let's dive in and keep it really simple, because you just made an awesome point of getting off zero is important, which I believe is probably the number one step. Just learn on the go, just get some skin in the game.
yes.
I love this idea that people's first jump into the space is through Primal. But can you walk us through, let's say I've got my mate, Harry, who I'm trying to orange pill, and he's open to trying this Primal thing out to experience Bitcoin and also see Primal. What do the steps look like for someone to open a Primal account, but also get their hands on some Satoshis?
Okay. So this is going to change in the future, but as it is right now, it looks like it's onboarding to any regular app. So you'll select some interests and you can choose whether or not you want to follow people based on those interests. And then you'll have to be asked a little bit of personal information to activate the wallet because we're integrated with Strike. And then you're good to go. You're out there. Now, Primal also serves as like a Bitcoin Venmo. So everybody has an address in their profile and it's just a lightning bolt and you click that and you can go pay them just like you would in Venmo or PayPal. I don't know what you guys got where you're at. Do you guys have something like that?
Yeah, PayPal's in the UK and Australia.
Yeah. So just imagine like Instagram had a like pay me here button and you had a wallet in Instagram. It's just so money flows really easily through Primal. And it's quite useful because before you would have to make like a lightning invoice, like, yo, dude, can you pay me back for the Uber? And then you'd have to make an invoice. And then it's like, oh gosh, really? And then now it's, you just pay without permission. Just go to the profile and give the $5, whatever, for the Uber. And then another fun way to show them is like you make it a post, an introductions post, like say a little bit about you, who got you on the app, blah, 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 blah. Hashtag introductions, throw a photo up there. You, Finn, repost it and then also send them a zap. And then now just randos on the internet can just send in Bitcoin just because. And that's the culture of Primal so far, is like welcome newbies with zaps. That's like the welcome algorithm. Instead of a bunch of views, you might see a bunch of zaps.
Yeah, how good. So it's simple to set up, which is important for adoption. People can get access to their first bits of Bitcoin Satoshis without even spending any of their fiat, just by introducing themselves. And then for those that
Yeah.
want to keep progressing and using Nostr and going down the rabbit holes of Primal, Bitcoin, Nostr, all of these new protocols, and they really want to go down the path of growing on Nostr, what are the best steps for these Primal specific to be able to grow if there's no algorithm to feed their growth?
That's a great question. So Nasser is like organic social media. Since since there's a bunch of different apps that people are talking to each other on, there's no central algorithms. To grow in there, you need to be nice. You need to talk to people and actually work for it. And then the hack, you need to contribute to the conversation and post content and maybe reply to things and put an interesting take. And that's how you gain a little recognition and maybe some followers. And then another way to hack it is through actually zaps. Zapping is the easiest way into somebody's subconscious. It's this new action on the internet. sending a micropayment of Bitcoin. Every time somebody sends me Bitcoin and I don't recognize their little profile photo, I go and I check them out. And then I usually follow them. Like, it's pretty cool, especially if they add a message to it that's heartfelt or funny or, unique. I'll go follow them. Like, why not? So that's another way. And we got a little term for it. It's called Zapvertising. If you really want to get your name out there, you go to the trending feeds and then you go zap all those with like a message. And then everybody's sees, like, you just paid for a little bit of space to market on all these trending posts out there. So it's like this wholesome loop of you're kind of advertising yourself, but you're actually paying the creator for it. And that doesn't exist anywhere else. It's pretty rad.
That's awesome, man. I love that. And we might be too early, and this is maybe an ignorant question, but let's say there are some small businesses that are using Instagram or Twitter to get leads for their business, whatever that is, whether it's fitness, whether it's coaching, whatever service they're providing. They might now be relying on ads on these platforms because, as we know, the organic reach is not what it used to be for these guys. Is there a way that they can boost their presence through an equivalent of ads on Primal, or does it purely have to go off value and what people perceive as valuable content?
So it's quite cool, man. So there's a couple products on Nostr. Have you seen those? Like Oshi, Soap Miner,
No,
Great D. Have you
I'm
seen that yet?
ignorant,
No?
man. No,
No, it's
fill me
fine.
in.
So it's this really unique like phenomenon going on. There's a few small products on there that have really spent their time on Nostr. And what's cool about it is you have this whole social network, right? And everything you do is out in the public for everybody to see. And what these people are doing what's called a zap snag. So they'll put a product up for sale and people will zap to buy the product and just DM them their address. So, but look into what's happening here. This isn't just a transaction between me and the producer. It's public for everybody to see. Now I see that, oh, look, Finn is buying ghee from that guy. And I think Finn looks like a good looking dude. He's fit. Maybe that guy has a good product. And it's like this really interesting circular economy going on in Nostr. Like Nostr is the biggest Bitcoin circular economy in the world. And like, it's, in my opinion, it's begging to be a marketplace. Like you think about it further, what this kind of represents. So there's a podcasting app called Fountain. You log into Fountain with Nostr. You bring all of your social connections in the app, and in their feed, you see who's listening to what podcast if they post about it. When somebody posts about a podcast, it has a significantly greater weight. And if your friend is listening to it, you're more likely to listen to it. Like, oh, that guy's listening to that? Okay, I want to go see what he's talking about. Or that guy zapped that? I want to go see what he's talking about. Just like if you hop into Netflix, Laura and I, my wife and I, get super lost because we don't know what to watch. But if somebody recommends something, it's like, oh, easy. So that's kind of the promise of Nostr. This might have just gotten too confusing too quick, but log in with Nostr. You bring your social connections to every app. It's a very small ecosystem so far, but if you want to go big league Nostr, you go to nostrapps.com and you can go plug in your password to each one, your private key, and you see the kind of the beauty of this decentralized, growing, permissionless ecosystem.
It's so cool, man. It's
so
really
cool.
exciting.
Like, I trip out about it.
Yeah, it's so cool, and I've got so much to learn. Like, just
And
the little that I do know, it blows me away.
Yeah. You can even like bring your wallet in each app. There's this thing called Nostr Wallet Connect. So your Primal wallet can work in other apps, and it makes you basically intolerant to legacy apps. How you got to just make a new username and password, and then you got to put all your information in there just to participate. And it's like, no, dude, just let me log in with Nostr. This is the kind of stuff that has these nerds and myself like super bullish on the whole space because it just makes sense. But there's a lot of work to do and there's no guarantee that it succeeds. So we got to just build better products and make freedom tech profitable. And it's going to be a long journey, but I think it's a hill worth climbing and a fight worth fighting.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have you guys in the space because it makes me bullish and it makes me excited for what's to come, even though I have no idea a lot of what is going on in the space and how that it works technically. I can see the vision for it and it's super exciting. So my next question for you, I guess, and I'm mindful to try and keep it as simple to understand as possible because we could go down multiple rabbit holes, but in terms of Primal and Nostr growth, what direction do you see it going in? Obviously, it's growing the network and the adoption, but how do you see the best way forward for increasing the adoption of Primal?
Okay, we'll
Because
start with
obviously
Primal.
it's going to have network effects just like other social medias do, where it becomes more powerful the more people are on there.
Yeah. So right now, a lot of people hop on Primal, but then they just never post and they just don't come back because it's not interesting to them. And there's some onboarding things that we're going to change that I think will help user retention and which will result in more customers and more fun place to be online. But before we get ahead of ourselves, who's on Primal right now? Who's on Nostr, the whole network? It's Bitcoiners, man. It's mostly Bitcoiners. There's a lot of homesteaders. There's actually some doctors too that are reminded of what happened during COVID. They don't want that to happen again. So they're like, being the change, which I think is incredible. But anyways, we need Bitcoiners. We need all the Bitcoiners there. We need to be the place for new Bitcoiners. There's Bitcoin content there. So people who are interested will find it, it'll be a cool place to go interact and really feel what Bitcoin culture is about. Bitcoin culture has moved from like Bitcoin talk forums to Reddit to Twitter, and now it's on Prime. Now it's on Nostr. And I could say that, and I really believe that. And we got a bunch of OGs there. I haven't even mentioned the whole story about how Jack Dorsey, the guy who founded Twitter, is all about Nostr now and the reasons for that. But really, I think Bitcoin culture needs to live on Nostr selfishly because I think Primal needs that to succeed at this point. Or Primal just makes tools that make just little communities that are aligned, um, just organically spreading the message and just the platform because the UX is so good because of the principles of Nostr that nobody can ban you, that you own your identity, your content, and all the other benefits of it. It could just take off organically and goes in directions that we don't even know. But it's just our best bet for now is just build tools for Bitcoiners, and that's what we're doing. And then Nostr is in a whole, like that's the beautiful part of it is every app brings more gravity to the network. Every app has a potential to grow the pie for everybody. So somebody just makes a new TikTok on Nostr, but doesn't even say anything about Nostr. They just put a crack algorithm in there, like, oh, that's a bunch of potential users for Prime. Somebody, makes a whatever app like BitChat, that communications app is like actually uses Nostr. There's another white noise app that aims to be like a signal replacement built on Nostr. Why? Because it's the best example of freedom tech that we have for communications so far. So there's a lot of different ways that the pie could grow. Primal's head down, focused on bringing all the Bitcoiners over.
I've said it too many times, but it's so exciting. And one thing I do want to bring up though, because I feel like we potentially just glossed over it at the start because we're aware of what's going on, is in your opinion, what's the importance of freedom of speech, of not having these algorithms at play and not getting cancelled for saying your thoughts? You mentioned there that doctors are becoming coming over to Primal because of what happened in COVID. But for you, why is this important? And for people that are listening that maybe don't see the importance quite yet,
Yeah,
what would
which
you
is
say to
totally
them?
fair. Like I am lost in La La Land sometimes. Like, but man, I think it really goes down to a soul level. The founder of Primal asked him why I named it Primal, is like because humans are born free and sovereign, and that's what this is. We get our sovereignty back online. We're not just cogs in a machine anymore. You actually own yourself online. You own everything about it, and we can all participate in this thing. And the information is free; it can't be stifled anymore, because it lives in multiple different servers, because you don't have to ask. So the root cause of a lot of the online turmoil or, censorship and all that happens because the networks that we use are permissioned. So we need to be mindful of when we're asking permission online, because one day it might become important. I know in Australia, they're trying to put mandates on for, upload your ID in order to use social media. Look at that. You're asking permission. And we're brought up always asking permission. The first thing you do is you put your money in a bank. Now you got to ask permission to use your own money. It's kind of wild. And these Bitcoin and this Nostr idea is completely radical. It's like, hey, as long as you have an internet connection, you're able to broadcast online. So you need to be mindful of when we're asking permission online. And yeah, I mean, I think it really is deep. Like these the way social media is now is just like completely programming us, and the algorithms, like, they're complete black boxes, meaning even the companies don't even know what's really going to be shown and why. We need transparent algorithms. We need algorithm choice to give the sovereignty and agency back to the user. We need to be able to modify like what we see when we go onto these apps instead of just have the information just blast you. So like, for example, every time I open Primal, I made my own feed. And this is a really important point that just says, stay focused. So like when I hop on the app, that's what I see every time. Just the fact that I can control that instead of every time I open Instagram, I get a surfing or baseball or paddle clip that just like gets me like, just that little detail is huge. So it's really, it does go deep, and because social media is such a powerful tool, we're evolving with social media. It's so clear to me that it's amazing that information is getting out, and I think a lot of truth is getting out. And I hope, and if information can't flow freely, I don't know if we can go towards the truth 100%. So yeah, it's a big battle, and of course it's scary. Free speech can get really ugly sometimes, can get violent, can get dangerous. It can incite violence in the real world. But if you have a central point of failure, a central decider for who gets to decide what's true and what's not, where does that leave us? We can look at history and we know that it doesn't work. That model doesn't work. Humans are wrong. We're all fallible. Corporations are wrong. Governments are wrong. Look at all of our incentives. So it's powerful tech.
Where does that lead us?
Where freedom reigns or where corporations thrive? Or
Let's do both. Let's start with, if we keep heading in the same direction, where does that lead us? What does life start looking like?
I like that. I really do have two separate versions of the future, the way I see it. It's like I'm obsessed with healthy social media, healthy money, and even healthy computers. So there's one path that I see where everybody goes back to touching grass, connecting in the real world, eating healthy foods, and maybe even putting your screens away. And then the other half is what I see is these, the engagement driven social media platforms, engagement incentivized, platforms that want you literally living in the metaverse. And whether that looks like VR, AR, not reality. They want you just living here. And I think it's going to become like wearables. And I see a dark future over there and a separate path that people go to and become like one with the machine. And then I see another path going to like just returning to the earth and remembering what it's like to be human.
Do you think that both of those worlds can operate at the same time?
Fantastic question. I have no idea. I think so, actually. I think it's already happening. I really do. I mean, I live in such a bubble, like I said, like my friends all see it and we're all doing stuff to actively mitigate it. I think it's kind of ironic that like, yeah, I'm working in social media now because I hate it so much. And that a lot of the founders in the space feel the same way. Like the internet is so profoundly broken. Like, God dang it. Now we got to fix it. It's up to us. I don't know if that's egocentric or not, but like that's our view. And it's like what everybody has different pieces of the puzzle, like how they contribute to it and do their part in this whole thing. It's different for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're doing great work. So there's probably some listeners now that are going, who is this Paul guy? And we purposely didn't ask that straight away, but what led you to Bitcoin? What led you to Primal? What do you believe in?
Nice, man. Yeah, here you go. Introductions. Hi, my name's Paul Keating. Yeah, I guess Bitcoin podcast, class of 2017 Bitcoiner, but I didn't end up meeting Bitcoiners until 2021 when I decided to drive to Central America. I packed up my car, said goodbye to my old life, had a little bit of Bitcoin, so I had like a little bit of confidence, but not much, just enough to think that I could go and change my life and look for a better existence, more fun. Yeah, I found Bitcoin in 2017 because I was hurt. I got like some sort of autoimmune disease or reaction, and I didn't really figure out, still haven't really figured it out. And it gave me time because I was like, how am I going to get rich? Oh, I'm going to gamble in crypto. I had time. So I went zero to like my majority of my net worth in Bitcoin. And I promised myself that I'd never sell it. So when the bear market hit after that 2017 bull run from like one grand to like 20, it like really made me question, like, what is this thing? I believe it's going to $1 million, or do I? And then it really led me down the rabbit hole to learn. And I was like, is this ever going to pay off? I don't know. Just, it consumed my entire life. Like all the podcasts, I was just consuming all this information. And this was when I just got done with grad school. So I had all this time to think. And I don't know, this belief that that little bit of Bitcoin would be worth something one day, um, kind of gave me the confidence to go explore. And when I met Bitcoiners in real life in El Salvador in 2021, actually I met Cash App guys, Square guys that I
Oh,
mentioned
yeah.
earlier. And I just was talking to them today. It's like, it's kind of cool, full circle. And that changed my life though. And that next thing you know, I'm chasing this other Bitcoin meetup in Costa Rica, get linked in with a bunch of friends. And I found what I'd kind of been missing was like people who are on the same vibration, on the same wavelength, see it the same way I do. And it's really powerful. And that's just the power of the Bitcoin network. But I think it could be like that for anything, like your sport, whatever you're into, right? You can find people on the same wavelength. But that was really helpful for me and ended up giving me a pretty good network. And I was working for a health influencer for a while in social media, Paul Saladino, who helped him grow his accounts pretty big and kind of saw like what it's like, got some skills around social media and ended up moving to a different place in Costa Rica that happened to be called the Bitcoin jungle. And now I could start living my thesis. And this is all random that we just moved there. It's just like completely this, I don't know, this just happened randomly that there's a circular economy starting up. And next thing you know, I'm living my entire life out of Bitcoin, spending it, really getting to feel it. Um, and then next thing you know, the first Nostr conference was right in my backyard. So I was like, okay, I'll go to that. And yeah, just kept on pulling on those threads and went to the second Nostr conference in Tokyo. The original thing that sold me was like one identity for all of your social media platforms. Because as I was working for the influencer, like it was, why do I got to go into YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter to post the same thing? This is absolutely retarded. And I'll die on that hill. That's retarded. Like it should be
Yeah.
one identity for all that stuff, for all your content. Yeah, man. It's just, it's kind of crazy how it all played out. Just putting myself out there and just having the balls to just travel around and go to different Bitcoin conferences and just keep showing up and meeting people. And then all of a sudden these opportunities just came in and I can't even believe like what I'm working on now. I can't believe I'm working in the space. I got my graduate degree in organizational psychology, which means business psychology. And that's like the study of how to make work not suck. And I came out of that completely scared to work because I realized it was going to be my entire life. So I didn't want to like sell out and get some job. I was originally planning to just go surf the world and teach surfing or something, but I got sick and I'm really grateful for getting sick in hindsight. But yeah, now Primal full time. The logo, I'll tell the story. So a guy that made the cold card, NVK, he was at a Bitcoin Jungle conference a few years ago. And we were just running around because Primal just got out and like showing people Primal. And I was like, yeah, dude, Nostr sick. Let's go. And we went to this surf instructor who has like the same wave as his logo. And then like he sees me, surf instructor, it's a Bitcoiner, and he called his buddy Milion who made the app. And he's like, yo, you got to hire Paul. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Let's go. And yeah, so it all just kind of fell into place because I was just tuned into the Bitcoin signal and the freedom tech signal. And I'm super grateful for kind of trusting the gut. And it was scary at times because I was broke. I was like, just camping, man. But then hanging out with these Bitcoiners who take care of you. So I guess the lesson in all that is, yeah, find your tribe. And if you're curious about Bitcoin, go meet up with people in real life. Go get on the Orangeville app, find local meetups. Because in real life connections are so much better than even just this right now. Like seeing each other in real life is super powerful and it helps and it all kind of adds up.
Yeah, too right. I can't agree more that the in-person stuff's super important. Ultimately, that's why I started the podcast, was because I was just consuming so much Bitcoin content that it was almost driving me crazy because I didn't have anyone to talk to. Then I start
Yeah.
posting, then I start meeting people in person more, like regularly. And it's so powerful when you find your tribe and people that connect with you. It's like a magnet, I think, of you all connect together on a level. You resonate with each other in so many different areas of life, and your quality of life just improves so drastically because the conversation just flows because you're not focusing on always educating someone or getting the skepticism from it. You can actually ideate together and push each other forwards rather than trying to pull people up. So it's really cool
Yeah.
that you mentioned that.
You just like look them in the eyes. It's just like, oh, that guy gets it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
even something you said, you just like, oh, you started posting. Like we all had a little role in this thing. Start posting. Who knows what might end up going viral one day? Or you look at somebody's wall, and it's like, oh, I get along with that guy. Cool. It's just social media is a luck factory with all of its downsides. It also just feels good to post too. Like it's how we're creative today. Like I said, we're evolving with this thing. Just sucks that it's captured.
100%. And for those listening that think that your story, which I think it is amazing, and they're trying to envision what your life actually looks like. What what does your day to day look like? And on top of that, what does your week to week, your month to month look like? And what does your vision for the next 6, 12, 18 months look like?
Oh, I love that. So during my travel down to Costa Rica, I had a lot of time to think and a lot of Bitcoin podcasts and books I listened to. But the question of what can you not stand not doing was kept on going on in my head. What can I not stand not doing? And that kind of just led me to live the lifestyle I'm doing now. I can't stand not surfing. So that's why I stayed in Costa Rica. So yeah, my majority of my time I spend in Costa Rica. I wake up and I surf every day. Even if it's bad, it's like I do usually drag myself there just because it's so healthy, man. You get up early, you see good light, you get in the salt water, and then you have some community, you move your body. It's the ultimate morning routine. And then I'll go in and think about work and get in the screen and, you know, work, whatever that is. My favorite thing to do is just talk my mouth off now and do podcasts and think about things together online and create content. But there's a lot of other behind the scenes stuff we do at Primal. Next 6, 12, 18 months, there's going to be some travel, Costa Rica, most of the time though, with my wife and new baby. We have a baby that's 2.5 months old
Awesome.
now, which is
Congrats.
freaking awesome. Highly recommend. Just get married, just send it. Didn't have any money. It's a fun story again, but yeah. So traveling, we'll see if we do some conferences. Right now, actually, my dream life would just be to travel to onboard cool people to Primal and just make content. And that's kind of what I'm doing in Kauai. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Living the
Yeah, so
dream.
I'm hoping there's more of that, and it's kind of got to pinch myself every once in a while that this is actually like my life now. But I think it was because I was able to see it, so I'm trying to see much more. What is Primal like when we have millions of people? What are we doing? How are we making this what we want it to be, a healthier social media, and how much fun are we having? It's only going to win when it's more fun.
Yeah, 100%. And it's all coming together because you are thinking it and you're speaking it into existence and you're embodying it and you're putting it out there. And I think that's a powerful message for anyone listening, that you were here, but you envisioned and you put in the work, and now you're up here and you're only going this direction. And it's easy. And I've seen this firsthand. It's easy to just sit here and stay here, but you've got to put in the work or move towards that thing that you want. Otherwise, you're just going to stay stuck and stay still, which is awesome. I want to double tap something on. I think it's really relevant for my generation. Is you just said you've had a newborn with your wife, and you said get married, have kids, send it.
Send it.
How was what you have experienced since 2017? How's your perspective on life changed with family, with kids, with the future, and what are your biggest lessons along that journey?
Yeah, so I went from completely selfish existence. I was basically looking like, what's the least I can do to have the most fun? So how can I serve myself the most just so I can go do other things? Like I kind of had the frame wrong instead of like, what's the most responsibility I can take on? And it's interesting how you take on responsibility, more comes your way. That's why I want to have 10 kids. But yeah, my whole like post college, like my mid late 20s was kind of, it wasn't screwing around. It was really just like learning and figuring out what I want to do in the world, because college just like spoon feeds you stuff. And then when you're on your own, it's like, okay, now it's time to actually think, for the most part, depending on what you study. But yeah, this kind of mindset shift to taking on responsibility, um, and really knowing what you want to do. And for me, it was never about like what I'm doing. It was kind of about, I knew that I wanted to surf every day with my friends and work on something important. And for a while, that was working with Saladino in the in space. And now it's working on Primal. It's just like work on something important and play with my friends. So just like with that, and then things kind of aligned for me. So if there's any little nuggets of wisdom that anybody could pull out of that, that'd be great.
It's powerful, man. I love hearing stories like this that are so genuine and authentic, and you can feel, you don't even have to listen to transformation that your life's come, but most importantly, you're then sharing that forwards, and you're wanting to make a positive impact on the world rather than just reaping the benefits for yourself, which is amazing to see. I'm mindful of the time. I'm loving this. I want to hand over the mic to you to close us out. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, if you have any points, anything on Primal, take over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, all benefits in life come from compound interest. So like sometimes, it is kind of a bummer, like things aren't happening as fast as I want them to at Primal, but I'm like, okay, as long as I put in a little bit of work today, we got a little bit better. We're going the right direction. That's the same with like your fitness, your health, and your relationships. If you're putting in a little bit of work today, compound interest will do the work for you in the future. And then really just, I love the Jeff Booth, man. Just be the change you want to see in the world. Like if you're spending 1% of your time on Nostr, maybe double it. If you really believe in that's where the future needs to be. If you have 1% of your wealth in Bitcoin, maybe double it. If you think that that's where if that's the future. And the more and more energy that you have in these systems completely changes the way you see the world. Like it's so weird. I mean, I don't have any fiat. I live off Bitcoin. I don't have any credit cards. Like, I'm just I feel like I'm just laser focused, which is and see the world completely through Bitcoin eyes, which it feels good to me. It's a little extreme for many and maybe something to possibly aspire to, but um, I don't know. That's how I sleep at night. And that's whatever makes you sleep at night is probably your best investment advice. But yeah, come at these systems with a sense of play. Don't be scared. Ask friends or ask questions to your friends. And for the Bitcoiners out there listening who are closet Bitcoiners like I was for 4 years, get out there. You're a playable character. Start creating and start finding the tribe, whether that's online but especially in real life. And yeah, surround yourself with good monkeys, because surround yourself with good friends and good people doing great things, like opportunities will come your way.
yeah, I just had 3 more questions pop up, but I think that's a great way to finish the episode, is surround yourself with people that you align and share values with, and live a good life, because you'll all look out for each other. Paul, Primal, how do people find it? I'll put
Primal
the
in the App
links in the
Store.
description.
Yeah. You'll see a little wave logo. Find me at Primal.net/Paul. You can hit me up on there or just Paul in the Jungle on the other socials. And if you do come over and you make your first post, put a little hashtag introductions, throw a photo up there, and then in the comment, tag me at Paul in the Jungle, and you'll see some magic internet money appear. And
There you
hit me up
go.
for any questions at any time.
There you go. Awesome, man. That's so cool. Paul, thanks for jumping on. It's been awesome. I love speaking to people like you that have awesome stories, that are building awesome things. And guys, I know this was a slightly different podcast structure to what we normally have, but any feedback would be really appreciated on what your thoughts are. Then go and look at Primal. I'll put Paul and Primal in the description. Otherwise,
Let's go. And let's start a Gen Z movement.
yeah, 100%. Let's
Do
get
it.
Gen Z on there. I'm meeting with a bunch the next few days, so we'll get them on Primal. Paul, thanks
Let's
so much for
go.
jumping on. Guys,
Thanks, dude.
see you on the next one.